I'm Steve Wiggins. I'm a research fellow and an agricultural economist working on agricultural and rural development at the Overseas Development Institute in London. What I was talking about today was two reflections on the 2007-2008 food price spike. One of those reflections to what has been the biggest shock to the world food system in 34 years, of course, is it's highlighted the shocking levels of malnutrition and undernourishment in the world today. More than 1 billion people undernourished and 158 million infants under the age of 5 who are stunted according to UNICEF. But what I was talking about more today was the other thing that the food price spike has highlighted, and that is the future challenges and shocks that agriculture needs to confront. So agriculture has to produce more food, it has to create the livelihoods, it has to contribute to better food security and nutrition. But we do need to confront the future of agriculture. And in that, over the next 20-30 years, there are 4 major transitions that agriculture needs to pass through. And those 4 transitions, one is an energy transition away from using oil, gas and other fossil fuels. And that will mean moving away from the kinds of fuels we've used for our machinery. And it may mean a more economical use of nitrogenous fertilizer or uses of other ways to fertilize fields. A second transition will be dealing with water scarcity and using water a great deal more economically than much irrigation water has been used today. Already we have water basins where there is strong competition between agriculture, traditionally a very large user of water, and the demands of industry and consumers. And we need a more economical and efficient way of applying that water. A third transition is on emissions. And agriculture is one of the largest contributors of greenhouse gases and to climate change. Anything from 17 to 32% of emissions are currently coming from agriculture. Those need to be reduced, and they can be reduced within agriculture. And indeed, agriculture has the potential for very considerable mitigation by sequestering, locking up carbon into soil and biomass. And those opportunities need to be seized. And the fourth and last transition, and not the least of course, is from farming within the climates that we've become accustomed to the altered climates which are almost inevitable, we are told, for the future. Times of higher temperatures, changed rainfall belts, with the concomitants of raised sea levels, more variable river flows, and a changed incidence of pests and diseases affecting farmers. So those are the 4 transitions that agriculture needs to go through, and it can go through them by learning more economical ways to use external inputs, particularly water and nitrogenous fertilizer, more timely agriculture that reacts to a more variable climate that we expect in the future, and above all a climate-friendly agriculture which adopts the kinds of technical practices, many of them agroecological, minimum tillage, for example, which will reduce emissions and which will give us a chance of sequestering carbon and mitigating future climate change. I had 2 final reflections on what that world might look like as agriculture goes through those transitions. And those 2 final reflections, one was about trade, because there is a great suspicion in some quarters about trading in food. A future world with a more variable climate is likely to need a bit more trade in food because harvests are going to fail locally. But from the places where harvests have not failed, we will need to be moving food to the areas where harvests have failed. And the other reason we may need more trade is producing food as efficiently as possible with lower use of external inputs and with lower emissions may mean producing more in areas that we don't currently produce from and producing less from some of those areas which have got highly intensive agriculture at the moment. And unless people move en masse, then we're going to have to move the food to the people. And the final reflection is those transitions will be difficult, but there are win-win solutions there. And if we don't make those transitions, the people who will suffer most are poor, small farmers, subject already to food insecurity. They will be the worst hit if we don't make those changes. Thank you.